Good evening, I'm Britt Clennett in Hong Kong and welcome to ViewTV News. Coming up on tonight's show. A dozen Baptist Uni students are injured after a fire breaks out at a dormitory party. Japanese automaker Nissan sacks its chairman Carlos Ghosn over financial misconduct scandal. No longer in vogue, fashion house Dolce & Gabbana finds itself out of style in China after a controversial ad. At least 12 Baptist University students have been injured after a fire broke out in a dormitory overnight. It's believed that the students were having a birthday party in the Wailun house when flour was thrown into the air. Burning candles then set the flower alight and caused several explosions. Sources say 4 male and 8 female students were injured, with 2 suffering from second-degree burns.
People usually do this during birthday celebrations. I live on a girls-only floor and this rarely happens. This happens more regularly on co-ed and boys-only levels.
The students now know these sorts of actions will cause injuries. We will also remind them of this and educate them on fire and personal safety rules. Patrolling security guards and dormitory education will help them to clearly understand what is considered dangerous.
The police have arrested 2 men in connection with a $15 million robbery that took place last night in a Sha Tin hotel. They've also retrieved $150,000 of the stolen funds. Authorities are looking for 4 other non-Chinese men who snatched a suitcase containing cash from a money changer. It's believed they raided a room in Regal Riverside Hotel and threatened the exchange's staff members with knives. The suspects took the money and fled in a car, which was later found in Tai Kok Tsui. In other news, lawmakers voted down a motion to look into the possibility of allowing same-sex couples in Hong Kong to enter civil unions. Ray Chan tabled the motion in LegCo, saying the couples should be given some of the rights enjoyed by heterosexual couples. That includes helping their partners make important medical decisions and being granted permission to collect their dead bodies or cremated ashes. Constitutional and Mainland Affairs Chief Patrick Nip described the issue as a controversial and complex one. He also said the government has been supportive when it comes to fighting off discrimination. Some lawmakers, meanwhile, stressed that the concept of traditional marriage needs to be safeguarded.
I think once they remove the concept of marriage between a man and a woman, it will shock our society. Ray Chen didn't use the word same-sex marriage in his motion, but he is talking about that.
The Occupy Central trial continued today, and the focus on speeches some of the defendants made during the protests. All 9 defendants attended the hearing at West Kowloon Magistracy. The prosecution played more police footage of the events on 28th of September 2014. Siu Ka-chun as well as Chung Yu-hwa were seen on a stage updating protesters on details of police defence and telling them to spread out to offer reinforcement. It also showed Lee Wing-tat asking protesters to sit down on Harcourt Road and occupy all 6 lanes. The hearing will resume next Monday as the defence has asked for extra time to review the evidence submitted by the prosecution. Meanwhile, a group of graduates from Lingnan University protested during their graduation ceremony, which was hosted by Carrie Lam. Chanting slogans and holding up placards on the stage, the students expressed their anger over issues like the prosecution of Occupy Central protesters and the Lantau Tomorrow reclamation plan. Outside the venue, a dozen students distributed pamphlets against electing pro-establishment politicians Junice Ho and Maggie Chan as the school's council members. Well, a migrant worker group has cried foul over the early release of Law Wan Tung, who was jailed for torturing her Indonesian domestic helper, Ariana Saliksaningsi, back in 2015.
Justice for all migrants.
At a news conference today, the International Migrants Alliance slammed the decision as unjust. The Legal Aid Department told the court yesterday that she was freed a few months ago. It's believed she only served 3.5 years of her 6-year jail term. Correctional Services refused to disclose the reason for her release on privacy grounds. Well, salary increases in the private sector will remain at 4% in the coming year, but after factoring in inflation, Hong Kongers can expect to see a 1.9% rise in their pay packets. That's according to research conducted by a human resources firm, which looks into nearly 300 multinational companies across 69 regions. India tops the list in net salary increase with a 5% bump, followed by Vietnam, Indonesia, and mainland China. Hong Kong, meanwhile, came in at 15th place. The firm says Hong Kong already pays a lot better than other countries in the region, and that's why the pay hike is smaller than other emerging economies. All right, coming up next, the latest from the world of business. And let's start with a look at equity markets. Here in Hong Kong, the Hang Seng Index edged up 0.18% to 26,019 points. The local benchmark was given a boost by Tencent Holdings, which posted a 1.9% gain. The Shanghai Composite Index, meanwhile, finished some 0.2% lower to close at 2,645 points. Mainland markets were subdued as investors await high-stakes trade talks between the world's two biggest economies. Well, in other local news, the Hong Kong government today said it's issuing a third batch of silver bonds next month with a minimum interest rate of 3%. It targets residents aged 65 years old or above. The issuance size of the bond is $3 billion with a 3-year tenure. The minimum investment amount is $10,000 and bondholders will be paid every half a year. The bond will be issued on December 17th, but investors can start subscribing as early as November 28th. The subscription period ends on December the 6th. Well, Nissan's board has voted to oust Carlos Ghosn as its chairman after his shock arrest over financial misconduct claims. Now, the board also sacked its representative director, Greg Kelly, according to the Japanese Nikkei newspaper. Now, the scandal has sent shockwaves across the auto industry and cast doubt on the future of the Nissan-Renault-Mitsubishi alliance. Our Japan correspondent Mayu Nishida has more from Nissan's HQ in Yokohama.
Auto tycoon Carlos Ghosn is gone. Nissan board members had voted to remove him as chairman following his arrest over alleged financial misconduct. This comes after Renault's decision to stand by Ghosn until they get more concrete evidence. Now, on Monday, though, Nissan CEO Hiroto Saikawa had said this arrest won't hurt their partnership.
While I think it will have an impact, especially on Renault, this is just essentially about correcting a serious misconduct, and is not a matter that should hurt our partnership with Renault, Nissan and Mitsubishi.
However, as the scandal deepens, strains are starting to show in the world's biggest auto alliance, which Ghosn built over the past 2 decades. Now, we've been hearing that Ghosn was actually planning a Nissan-Renault merger before his arrest, but Nissan executives were looking for ways to stop it. The Japanese carmaker wants more influence and has argued that the structure doesn't adequately reflect its size and global sales. Now, regarding the alleged financial misconduct, a local newspaper Asahi reporting that Tokyo prosecutors collected key emails that indicate Ghosn ordered his aides to underreport his income. Now, it appears that those emails were provided by Nissan executives who filed plea bargains with prosecutors. Now, Ghosn himself remains in police custody and his detention has been extended to 10 days until the end of this month. In financial markets, the shock arrest has taken a toll on the shares of Renault, Nissan and Mitsubishi, all three seeing a sell-off this week. Now, many analysts and investors are worried about the future of this giant partnership, but here at the Nissan headquarters, I'm seeing 3 flags: Japan, France, and the Nissan company flag. So for now, at least, this alliance is still intact.
Well, another automaker, Tesla, meanwhile, is trying to salvage its business in China by slashing their prices. The US company has decided to eat up Chinese tariffs instead of transferring the cost to mainland consumers. Grace Lee has the story.
Tesla is trying a new strategy to weather the US-China trade war, slashing its prices in China and absorbing the blow from tariffs itself. In July, Tesla was one of the first US car makers to raise prices there because of tariffs, with price tags on its Model X and S cars jumping by about 20%. But on Thursday, the company announced it would cut prices on those models back down by a similar amount, meaning Tesla will eat the costs instead. The company calls it a move to make the cars more affordable in the world's top auto market. And China's critical. Sales of so-called new energy vehicles there are rising fast. However, trade tension is flying high between China and the US. Beijing has slapped extra tariffs on what America ships to China, including Tesla's cars. The company warned last month those tariffs are causing major problems to its operations, and that's forcing it to speed up investment in its first ever overseas gigafactory in Shanghai. Tesla has recently secured a site for the facility, allowing it to build and sell cars within China's borders and dodge steep trade war tariffs.
Well, it's the Thanksgiving holiday in the US and across the country. Millions of people are expected to hit the road or take to the skies to celebrate with family and friends. Well, it's forecast to be the biggest holiday travel rush in a decade. Between Tuesday and tonight, over 54 million Americans are likely to have travelled 80 kilometres or more, jamming highways, airports and railways rather. Airlines and runways as well, including Delta and United, have reported a robust or even record-breaking ticket sales. Busy indeed. Well, the day after Thanksgiving is traditionally seen as the start of the American holiday shopping season, and this year online sales are expected to take an even bigger slice of the pie. Our New York correspondent Julia Sun has the details.
Well, 4 in every 10 American consumers plan to buy something on Black Friday this year. That is according to a recent Reuters poll. And out of those shoppers, 6 in 10 of them are anticipated to get at least half of their holiday shopping done on Black Friday alone. Now, the majority of them will do their shopping primarily or totally online. A lot of people just don't want to deal with the crowd in the brick and mortar stores. And for these shoppers, free delivery is the biggest draw, followed by coupons and doorbuster deals that you don't have to leave your house for. Reuters survey found that American shoppers are less interested in buying some of the items this year compared to the year before. They include clothing, electronics, jewelry, toys, and gift cards. However, shoppers are more interested in getting groceries online. Grocery retailer Walmart, Target, Kroger, and even Amazon have been trying to make it easier for people to buy everyday items online. Overall, in terms of dollar amount, Adobe Analytics predicts that online spending during this holiday season will grow by about 15% to $124 billion, far outpacing the 2.7% growth anticipated for brick and mortar locations. The National Retail Federation predicts that U.S. holiday sales, including stores on and offline, will increase between 4.3% and 4.8% this year from 1 year ago, when consumer spending surged to a 12-year high.
Time for a break now, but do stay with us. Up next, a car plows into a group of young children in China's Liaoning province, killing at least 5 people and injuring a dozen more. We'll have the details.
We enrage.